Hi guys. So yeah, that's my title. Are you a minority or are you a minority? But before I get into that topic, I'm going to do like a quick little interactive activity. It's just a quick guessing game. It's really obvious the answer. So this is just an example. This is not going to be the topic. I know this topic's rinse, but can we guess the aesthetic basically? So I just need answers basically. Go on, Nadia. Let's say it all together actually. Let's just say it all together. Go on. Yeah. 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 So, yeah, you're right. The UK black girl aesthetic, that won't be the topic. But I just wanted to highlight, which is the next slide, that there is no aesthetic at all. So, according to the Oxford and Cambridge Dictionary, aesthetic basically means relating to the enjoyment or study of beauty or showing great beauty. So, what people deem as beautiful is really subjective. So technically we shouldn't be placing, different groups of aesthetics because everything's basically an aesthetic. But that will not be my topic, but it's a key point that I need to make before we move on. So let's move on. So going into my topic, I actually wanted to talk about how when we initially make friends, we often base things off aesthetics rather than anything else, basically. So, wherever we go, we look at what they're wearing, what's their vibe, what they do. And like I said before, I feel like it's the wrong way to think because aesthetic is basically subjective. And I've heard some horror stories where some girls have said like, oh, because she's pretty, I want to be her friend. But again, beauty is subjective. So for the UK black girlies, I guess it's easier to make not aesthetic, friendships, with other black girls because that's the trendy thing right now, right? But I wanted to speak about those that don't fit into that aesthetic. So there is a link, obviously, that talks about more about like aesthetics and stuff with a QR code in the next slide. So I'm not going to go deep into it because I don't have time. But if you just scan that link, then, next slide, please. Yeah, so basically those that don't fit into this aesthetic, you can imagine that it's going to be more difficult for them to create more friendships with other black peers, unfortunately. Because of this, they end up joining friendship groups that, where they become the minority or where there's less black people in it. So then they also sometimes feel out of touch with, their culture. And I feel as though it's really important that I highlight this because I feel like the friendships that obviously like the grades and stuff shape your university experience, but the friendships that you make, what you learn from those people also shapes your university experience. So they're actually missing out on like key conversations that you could have with your fellow black peers, which is also a shame. I'd also like to speak about a friend of mine. Last year, I was talking to him. I was literally like in this building, and he was basically talking about how like I literally asked him like, why do you not have like any other black friends? Why am I your only black friend? And he was like, oh, I tried the ACS and it didn't work because I didn't fit in, which really had me thinking like, we're not doing enough. Like, why are we looking at people based off aesthetics, basically? So I thought I should just stand here, speak on behalf of him as well. But yeah, on to the next slide as to what we can do about this situation. So although it seems minor, like I said, it really shapes your university experience and it all basically starts with you and your mindset. When you meet somebody, it's about, you don't base it off their aesthetics, but you base it off, them as a person. This idea originally came from the Black Leadership Program. When you're stuck in a room with like different people, when like you're all the same skin color, but different aesthetics, different everything, when you're stuck in a room, you have no choice but to speak to them. And then when you sit down and speak to them, you realize, oh, like this person's actually like cool, innit? Like you don't need to judge it or anything. But yeah, just have that opportunity to sit in a room with black people and just, relate to them on a deeper level is really key, and I think it should be open to everyone. So what I hope is that like the Black Leadership Program is not just selective for set students, that it's open to everyone, or we have a scheme going on that's of the sort. Next slide. With saying that though, I don't want to disregard any other societies. So Manchester 1010, ACS, Black Girls Space, they're doing an amazing job with what they're doing already. But I feel like the next step is to reach out those that are actually the minorities in their friendship groups, because they probably don't see these advertisements and these things. Also, Nadia's asking me to shout out the Ghana Society. They're having an event as well. So that would be a great opportunity to invite your friends that you know, are the minorities in their friendship groups to go and socialize and stuff. So yeah, that's my speech. So yeah.